G'day and welcome to the shed, not the bush. Bit different. Now I must pre-apologise for the top-notch acoustics in this room, but as you can see by the setup, we're just making do with what we got, so hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, today we're doing something a bit different, and to add a bit of context to that, Tay and I, if you haven't noticed already, or if you're new to the channel, are pretty mad about rocks. And that's everything from the geology and, exploration and actually going out and finding the stones, to digging them up and bringing them home, cleaning them up and presenting them in all sorts of different ways, and then in turn sharing them all with the world. It's a heap of fun and we love everything about it, but the next thing we really have to master is the business of making jewellery and making various things out of some of the smaller or lower grade stones, or just different things. I'd love to learn to facet, I'd love to learn to cabochon, all these sorts of things, but we're a bit financially challenged at the moment, so we've got to make do with what we've got. Now this little OH&S nightmare that you see going on here, it wasn't really supposed to be like this. Originally I purchased this little bad boy off eBay for the low sum of $100, thinking that, as described, it would be 100mm wheels. When it arrived, turns out it was actually 75mm wheels, and the polishing pad that I bought to fit onto it didn't fit. I did find out that it does fit on my 4-inch angle grinder. Now this is definitely not the recommended way to make jewellery, so this is not going to be a how-to video by any means. It's more a how we managed to come up with a way to do it. And if you wanted to do something like this, maybe you could. But it's definitely not the done thing to use a 4-inch angle grinder G-clamp to a bench as your lap machine. But I've tested the theory and so far it works. So what we're actually doing today, or what we're going to try and achieve, is I have 6 or so little jasper pebbles that we picked up from the beach on our Great Ocean Road trip. Check that video out on our channel if you like, see where they all came from. We've got these beautiful little naturally shaped stones that are very nice, but they're not quite as nice as they could be. The idea is basically we want to come up and show. What we want to do is basically turn a little rock like this into a nice little freeform hanging pendant. And as you can see by that shine there, it's shiny. The beach has done a pretty good job of creating something nice. But I would just like to get rid of those imperfections off the surface and really get that shine into a polish. As you can see, I've already... Oh, my favourite thing. I've already got a little hole in the middle there that we've drilled with a tiny little drill bit in the Dremel. The idea is we're going to hone that out a bit so as I can fit a leather strap or necklace thing, whatever you'd call it, through it, and then have it as a nice hanging pendant. So the idea with this is basically starting off with a fairly coarse grit. So this pad is a 50 grit. I find when I'm using this pad it takes off a lot of rock. And then over here we have our selection of different grits slowly working their way from 100, 200, 400, 800, 1500, 3000 grit, and then 6000 grit to get it nice and shiny, we hope. We hope. Now I will say again, using an angle grinder is not ideal for polishing stones. It's way too harsh. What I am ideally going to have in the very near future is an actual polisher, which will be probably 5 or 6 inch. They're variable speed, so you can slow them right down and do this nice and gently, whereas as you're about to find out, this is a little bit sketchy when I've got to essentially polish tiny rock with an angle grinder that's spinning at 11,000 RPM. So there are better ways, but we'll see what we can come up with, eh? Why not? So, step 1, well, step 2 actually, because step 1 was drill the hole, and I did that the other day before I set up this elaborate and sophisticated studio setup in the shed. And so step 2 is we're basically going to work on honing out this tiny little hole, and for that job we have a tapered Dremel bit, very hard to see I know from there, but 2mm, basically tapering down to bugger all. Goes in the end of our Dremel, which attaches to handy dandy tool, and yeah, we'll make this hole a bit bigger. Now before I switch that on and then you can't hear anything, I like to do it in a nice low and shallow little bowl of water like this, just to keep the whole thing nice and lubricated. It also keeps the dust at bay, so you can see I'm not wearing a mask yet. I will when I use this, but for now I can do everything basically underwater. Just keep the tool above water, keep the rock below water. Oh wow. That is why we like polish, because as soon as that rock was wet, you could see all those colours. So that's what we're going to try and bring out. I seem to like going fairly fast, but not too fast, because yeah, just not going too hard. And that is hole number 1. Not too bad. Now I have another 5 to go, so I'll get back to you with the next step. So we have our holes. In our pretty rocks. But I am thinking that little 2mm bit may have been just a bit too small, so I'm going to get slightly bigger bit and see if I can't hone them out just a wee bit more, and then we'll get started on the grinder. How pretty are they though? You can see the detail. That is why we want to get that level of polish, because once they are polished up, they are going to be stunning. That's what we want. we have a bigger hole. I think that's going to do much better. Much better. Now the next thing I want to do is create a little groove just above the hole there, so that the bindings sit nice and snug. If we can show you. Come on. Come on. Oh, that's not good. Ah, camera really doesn't know what it's doing. There we go. There's the hole. And we're just going to try and create a little groove at the top there. You'll see what I mean. Just using the same bit. We can get focus a bit quicker now. Nope. Oh, nearly. There we go. There's a little groove there to allow the string to sit a bit flatter and neater. Hopefully it works. Repeat procedure. Done. Come with me. Here we have our little grooves cut for our strings. Should just make the straps sit a little bit neater, I hope, is the idea. Now that's done, it's time to fire up the beast, the tiny beast.